Hi dear friends, welcome to my channel. It's Akshadare by Devraj. So I hope you guys are following the same tips to your communication in English. Let me start today's session. Before going to start the session, I would request you guys to please subscribe, like, and comment. If you like the video, please subscribe to my channel, like and comment. If you guys have any doubts or queries, please leave the comment in the comment box that I can help you and come to resolve your queries. I hope you guys are doing the same and enjoying the day's occasion, summer occasion. And let me start reading the newspaper. Let me read this the news. Justice K. M. Joseph on a division bench of the Supreme Court on Tuesday said it was more than obvious that the man released early from life imprisonment in the case of gang rape of Bilkis Bano and murder of her family during the 2002 Gujarat youths were raising a mage of procedural objections in successive court hearings to avoid his bench. He noted that time was running out for him with his retirement days away. I think it should be more than clear to you what is happening. So the problem for me is I am retiring on June 16, but my last working day is May 19. Last working day before court closes for some occasion till July 2. It is obvious they do not want us to hear the matter. It is more than obvious. Justice Joseph, accompanied on the bench by Justice B.V. Nagaratna, addressed Advocate Sobha Gupta, Mistress Bano Counsel. The oral remark came after the courtroom rang with submissions made by the lawyers for the 11 released convicts who claimed that they were not served notice of the case. They sought an adjournment by at least 2 weeks to file the counter updates to Mr. Banu's petition challenging the decision of the state of Gujarat, endorsed by the center to remit their life sentences. It is more than clear to all of us what is happening, Mr. Gupta told the judge. Then it's all the more important that they should not succeed. Such tactics should not be used in court. Senior advocate Indra Jai Singh addressed the bench. Advocate Virendra Grover said that the released convicts should not be allowed to interrupt justice in this way. We have given them 2 weeks to file their counter. The next possible date of hearing is May 6-17. These people are already out of jail. If there is merit in your case, you will succeed. If there is no merit, you will not. The matter would have taken a different turn if it had come to my court earlier. Justice Joseph said the convicts were released on August 15, 2022. Mr. Gupta said the petition was filed in November 2022. It came up for hearing before a bench of Justice Ajay Rastogi and Bela Trivedi on December 13. Justice Trivedi had recused himself. This is about the case Bilkinis Bano rape case, which was the incident occurred in the Gujarat. Let me go to the next page. Marking a new era of education in Jharkhand, historic launch of 80 schools of excellence. Loan available long-term easy installment facilities. Gandhi Bazaar remains shut for a day in protest against unscientific projects. Admissions 2023, Christ University. Once a savior of the poor, Indira Gandhi canteens are now a picture of neglect. Second PU supplementary exams from May 22 to June 2nd. Incidentally, BJP has made a full promise to set up Atal Bhara Kendra in every ward of municipal corporations to provide affordable food. Bangalore doctor to attend King Charles III coronation. Uneven development bane of Ashwantpur residents. FIR against Somshekhar for putting up FEM's posters. Gandhinagar battles civic issues even as MLA is confident of winning again. BBMP monitoring UPI digital bribes to voters. Wanted linguistic minority and edited publications are united for the following post. for the academic year. BJP Congress proposed a special administrative region for city. Non-aero revenue at KIA returns to pre-pandemic levels. Here is the opportunities page, guys. If you are interested to apply for any jobs, so here is the opportunity. You can apply and check and apply. Indian Institute of Management Director. Congress promises firm action against those spreading hate. Congress is now trying to lock up Lord Hanuman, says Narendra Modi. 24 rebels expelled from Congress. Poor promise on MSP hailed. Congress promises 1.5 lakh crore to complete irrigation projects. Puneet Health Scheme. BJP attempts to queer Siddaramaya's speech by fielding Somana. In South Karnataka, a great deal hinges on how JDS face exercise restraint. EC tells parties in Karnataka Assembly full campaign. The BJP and Congress yet again approves the full body with complaints and counter complaints. HC rejects plea seeking a facility for NRIs to vote abroad. CBI Kerala Secretary files case against Swapna. This is the editorial page, guys. Let me read this editorial page for today. Sushant Singh. The editorial page was written by Sushant Singh. It was in the first week of May 2020 that news broke up ingress of China's People's Liberation Army in multiple areas across the line of actual control in Ladakh. 3 years later, some of those areas have witnessed disengagement, pulling troops apart by a few miles of buffer zones, while two of them, Depsang and Demchok, remain unresolved. Indian soldiers cannot touch 26 of the 65 patrolling points in Ladakh. Neither diplomatic meetings nor talks between corps commando have elicited many progress since September last year. Regular meetings between Indian and Chinese ministers, foreign and defense, have not yielded in results either. Beijing has ignored Delhi's talking points even after they have been watered down so much that India no longer demands a return to the status quo of April 2020. Verbose non sequiturs in Indian statements can hardly cover up the government's failure in handling the current China crisis, the Depsang crisis of 2013. During the 2013 Depsang crisis, the United Progressive Alliance was in power. The current External Affairs Minister as Jaishankar was India's ambassador to Beijing, and the current governor of Arunachal Pradesh, Lieutenant General K.T. Parnaik, retired, was the Northern Army commander. The PLA had then blocked Indian patrols at Bottleneck or White Junction, the same place where it has now blocked them in Depsang since 2020. Within 3 weeks, the PLA had been posed to lift the block after the Indian Army. As per Lieutenant General Parnaik launched a quid pro quo cooperation on the Chinese side in Chuma. Negotiations followed, and including in Beijing, the status quo as it existed before PLA's bloc was restored. The criticism of the government over those 3 weeks was deepening. Narendra Modi, then Chief Minister of Gujarat, argued that the problem was not on the border but in Delhi. He also asked why our soldiers were vacating the area after disengagement if they were on Indian territory. Most in the media reports were strident in criticizing the government then, but the same journalists have been silent when the very same spot has been blocked by the PLV for over 3 years. Their constant labeling of Depsang as a legacy issue disconnected with the current crisis, so appointed former Ladakh Corps commander Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma that he was compared to pen a strong resigned. However, misleading claims about Depsang continue to be regurgitated. Unlike mainstream and media, the military brass This includes the Indian Army Chief General Manoj Pandey and the Northern Army Commander Lieutenant General Upendra Dwivedi has been more forthcoming about the ground realities. The cover-up emanates from the political leadership. In the silence of the Prime Minister and the Home Minister are by way of the deceptive euphemisms of the External Affairs Minister. The reason is known even to watchers in Washington D.C. A White House official until 2021, Lisa Curtis, wrote recently that the government of the day might not want its public to know the full extent of PLV activities in disputed areas, as this might become fodder to protest against incompetence or inaction. Incompetence and inaction. Incompetence may be a function of capability, but inaction seems to be driven by fear. Fear of military escalation in case India were to attempt a proactive move in disputed border areas to unsettle Beijing. If negotiations are about give and take, New Delhi must militarily take something that diplomats can then give you at least at the table. Divide half that Beijing holds all the cards. No one can deny that China is a much bigger economic, military, industrial, and geopolitical power than India, but the gap shrinks considerably when it comes to the local balance and the LAC. If Russia is unable to vanquish Ukraine, Chinese President Xi Jinping knows that China cannot militarily walk over India. The decision rests with the Prime Minister, but he seems haunted by the ghost of 1962. Many officials believe that Jawaharlal Nehru was pushed into a military confrontation with China then because of domestic pressure created by the likes of the Swatantra Party and the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. The Prime Minister does not wish to fall into that trap. They are right. Mr. Modi is no Nehru. Nehru faced parliament and answered questions regularly, even during the 1962 conflict. Unlike Nehru's time, the public relations and propaganda machinery now has fabricated such a hyper nationalist narrative that more than 70% Indians contend that India can militarily defeat China. The pressure on Mr. Modi to militarily deliver when the ruling party's political campaign have ridden the hype of so-called surgical strikes, and Balakot Ace strike is even greater. Over 9 years, Mr. Z seems to have got the measure of Mr. Modi. Mr. G sent PLV soldiers to Chimar even as there was intense media focus and hype optics during that Z visit to Ahmedabad, Gujarat in 2014. The Chinese leader rebuffed the Indian leader's plea in Beijing in 2015 to delineate the alliance. He has blocked India's entry into the nuclear suppliers group and has remained vague about the outcomes of the informal summits. Satellite imagery shows that the Chinese were already rebuilding massive military infrastructure in Ladakh by the time the second informal summit was taking place in Mamallapuram of China in late 2019. However, Mr. Modi's faith in the force of his personality and personal charm to win over the Chinese leader, such as by offering a handshake and having a chat in Bali last November, didn't result in even a telephone call, let alone a breakthrough on the Ladakh border. Proactive move. India is under pressure on the border and it needs to find a way to transfer that pressure back to China. Beijing has never compromised unless it has been posed into an uncomfortable spot. A tactic India has deployed since Nathu Law in 1967. This warrants India to be proactive, which calls for the political leadership to boldly use its imagination. If the political leadership is timid and fearful, the military on the China border will remain in a defensive approach. If a strategic thought in Delhi lacks boldness, tactical actions on the LAC will not be daring. After all, the military is used as an instrument by states to pursue policy ends, to try and impose its will not be will upon the adversary. India's failure to impose its will upon China is a direct consequence of its fear of military escalation. In the backdrop of the ghost of 1962 that owes our the top political leadership thinking. 3 years after the border crisis began, its status post approach can no longer be the answer. India will have to wrest the initiative from China, as things will happen only at a time and place of Beijing choosing. Mr. Modi's personal success may lie in avoiding another 1962, but it would be a national failure for India. Unlike 1962, China would have no won without fighting. This is the page of editorial that I'm going to read one more page. Anand Han, fellow at the Center for Himalayan Studies, Yuvanad. In India has eaten off the apple of diluted labor laws and the prioritization of a favorable investment climate to compete with China. There are clear signs of a scant regard for the well-being and the rights of India's workers. In addition to being the starting point of the possible onset of another scorching summer, the month of April also witnessed two important happenings that are tied to the country's avowed economic industrial transformation demanding our attention. The first was the passage of a piece of legislation in the Tamil Nadu Assembly that amended the Factory Act of 1948 to extend the number of working hours in a day from 8 hours to 12 hours. A similar piece of legislation was passed in the current Karnataka Assembly. A few months ago, however, in his address during May Day celebrations in Chennai, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin announced the withdrawal of the legislation. This announcement comes on the back of the temporary hold and further action on the bill by the Tamil Nadu government after strong opposition. This includes the state government's alliance partners and trade unions, changes in laws, no social dialogue. The 8 hour working day, adopted by the International Labour Organization in 1919, is a hard-won right by workers and trade unions, who have had to struggle over the years to keep capricious policy changes at bay. While appreciating the action initiated by the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, the passage in the first place of these pieces of legislation, which has justifiably led to anger and outcry among trade unions and labor support groups, clearly signals the intent of governments to house investments by transnational cooperations through their supply chains by ramping up capacities and provisioning incentives. As a matter of fact, these legislative changes could trace their legacy to the four labor codes passed by the central government in 2019 to 20, which in turn have weakened the labor protection architecture, lowered thresholds, and squeezed collective bargaining, thereby effectively curtailing their actual operability. The key missing competent component in all these changes in the labor ecosystem is social dialogue. Not only are sustained processes of consultations with workers being short circuited or ignored altogether, but these are also being considered anathema by almost all ruling dispensations, irrespective of political persuasions, remaining the deterministic and soundproof to entertaining and contrarian views and differences of opinion. The top-down approach of governance often puts the cart before and the horse. In doing so, it prioritizes a favorable investment climate over the well-being of workers. The second development in April that was widely publicized with much fanfare was of Apple's opening up its first two retail stores in India in Mumbai and then Delhi in the presence of the Apple CEO who was in India for the events. This follows his statement last year expressing bullishness about the brand's business prospects in India, which was lapped up and trumpeted as a sign of India being well and truly in the race to run parallel with China, if not completely eclipse it in the long run. However, cutting through the hype, what is left unsaid is how Apple, and by extension other transnational corporations too, thrives by tantalizing a race between India and China. Through its suppliers, it intensifies this artificial competition even while retaining the flexibility to operate across contending geographies and feeding on consumers. States who view the position of its devices as a status symbol, mainland China as a template. The two happenings in April may seem separate, but from a labor-centric perspective, it is only rational to spot the connection. Already under its Make in India initiative, and later with the production-linked incentive scheme, the central government aims to turn the country into a manufacturing hub. Like China, and this larger design, this electronics industry has received top priority, and within it, Apple entwined with Paxquan as the main supplier has come to be considered the gold standard. In line with this, the central government has been working in close coordination with its various state governments, including Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, to work out common strategies to capitalize on the company's diversification plans away from China. For years, Foxconn has had a stable base in Tamil Nadu, encouraging other Taiwanese companies in other sectors as well. As part of its corporate social responsibility obligations, it has even reciprocated by making massive financial contributions to the state's government's education initiatives. Such coordination and a mobilizing of efforts by governments resembles the symbiotic relationship between Apple, Foxconn, and the Chinese Communist Party face state. The growing invisibility of time with reference to the economist Guy standing as marked by these legislative changes is also illustrative of the ubiquitous nature of the production management systems and labor regime implemented in our Apple Pakistan across geographies. The dormitory labor regime has practiced in mainland China, which in effect looks to be recreated in India, blurs the socio-spatial boundaries between work and life. In such a highly regimented, constantly disciplining just-in-time production system that demands orderliness and standardization from workers. The human cost of the squeeze are not only physical but also mental and emotional. Ultimately, viewed from a labor-centric perspective, in the ambition to overtake China, we end up more or less as being another China. This is about the business editorial. This is about the editorial page. Let me continue to the next page. Outlawing India's tech tariffs. The uppercast outreach in a Dawn's release. Communal tensions will increase during Ram Navami. Reports show mapping clashes during Ram Navami. Center plans panel to find alternative to death by hanging. SC dismisses the Delhi police appeal against bail to activists. Power steps down as NCP chief. We will not contest polls. US panel report on religious freedom by says India. No interim relief for Rahul Gujarat SC to give verdict after June 4. Rajnath Singh hands over two naval vessels to the Maldivian defense process. States hold told to take down hoardings on ban gambling. UIDA allows verification of email phone number. Karnataka ranked the most innovative state in manufacturing. China, Russia, Pak ministers to attend SEO meeting in Goa. 234 more Indians evacuated from Sudan. Congress wants PM's apology over Lord Arman remark. 9 years after ban coal mining to resume Meghalaya, says CM Sangama. CID letter is tactic. So to silence me. Political churn. Quota concerns keep the tempo up in Kittur, Karnataka. BJP disrespected people who elected me. He alleges that the party wants a government without dependence on Lingas and asserts that he will put in active politics for another 10 years. In a rare visit to Myanmar, China's Prime Minister meets a junta chief. Despite President's plea, Uganda MPs passed a new draft of anti-gay bill. Russia summons a police show, NYO, embassy school closer in Warsaw. Riot police fire tear gas in Kenya as opposition status new post protests. Ranil renews an vote to resolve Sri Lanka's ethnic question. Prominent Palestinian on hunger strike dies in Israeli custody. Taiwan unsure of nations that will help if war breaks out. Pakistan sees the highest inflation rate in South Asia. Gaming policy tax norms need more calibration effort. Policies that handle transparent taxation norms will make it possible to attract foreign investors in sectors like gaming. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman tells Indians diaspora in South Korea sent it to alter offshore mining law to spur private participation. Tal releasing more than doubled in Q1. The Chinese World Chess Champion is quite a story. Indian girls lose both league matches. This is about the sports page. Uttapa impressed by Karna's show against Super Giants. Rao's injury was a setback and we were batter's shot in the latter stage. Ishant keeps his nerve as capital people Titans in thriller. Shamis fails in vain. As Super Giants meet Super Kings and get a chance to redeem a home and record a high scoring game likely between Emma and PBKs. Their regains top spot in test remains when the element of danger makes for thrilling television. This is all about the sports page, guys. I'm not going to make it. Only the international games will be the important for the point of examination. Just read it, the text and contest page, which is uh, for the purview of the people. The GST collection rises to record high in April 2023 and 0.87 lakh crore. Coal production rises in April 2023, says Coal India. Evident the share of families that have been victims of online fraud. European inflation remained high throughout April. Russians killed in the Ukraine war since December. Why are blanket workers protesting? How did this strike start? What is the platform work? What is platform work? Do the new labor codes protect the rights of gig workers? Does the code on social security differentiates between employee and gig workers? Have there been petitions imposed to legally recognize gig workers? The Golden Globe race, the voyage of madmen. De-dollarization, the race to attain the status of a global reserve currency. While countries have tried to dethrone the dollars as the global reserve currency for many decades now, for various reasons, of late such attempts have picked up pace in the aftermath of Russia's invasion of Ukraine last year. So this is about the today news, guys. I'm going to hand this today session. I see you in the upcoming videos, and please subscribe to my channel, like and comment. So to bring out the very informative videos in the upcoming days. And I hope you guys are doing great. And see you in the upcoming videos. Bye bye. Take care.